As you know, right now we are seeing the worst locust attack in last 27 years. So in this particular regard, we need to see four things. First of all, what are these locusts? Secondly, what is the reason behind their origin and how they are connected to the climate change and Indian Ocean Dipole? Then, why a kind of a time bomb is tickling and why before the monsoon the response is needed to be given? And fourthly, what could be the way forward in this particular regard and how by using Malathion diplomacy, Indian government can counter the crisis. Now when we discuss about the locust, so they belong to the species of short-horned grasshoppers. But they are different from the normal grasshoppers because of two things. First of all, these grasshoppers have immense capabilities of flights. They can take hundreds and thousands of kilometers of flights. Secondly, they have a distinct kind of a physiological behavior which due to which they can form the huge swarms. Now before going into the swarming, first of all we will discuss their behavioral changes or the physiological changes. Now usually these locusts, they tend to prefer the solitary behavior. Now when they are solitary, they are green in color and they don't prefer company, they live individually. And at this point of time, they are not a threat to agriculture or humanity. But sometimes, due to extreme climatic events such as prolonged drought, food scarcity, or due to sudden onset of vegetation, these solitary creatures tend to turn gregarious. Now, gregariousness is a concept in ecology where a solitary creature tends to prefer the large groups and thus they form the swarms. Now, when they live into these large groups, they touch each other, and due to this constant touching, serotonin is released into their brain. Now, this serotonin will bring some physiological changes into these locusts. It will change their color from green to black or brown. It will increase their appetite and it will strengthen their muscle structure. And now, due to these changes, they will reproduce in exponential numbers and thus the bigger swarms will be formed. Now there are three type of swarms. First are the outbreak. They are relatively smaller groups and are limited to a particular area only. Then there are upsurges. They are relatively bigger groups and are limited to a particular type of geography. And the biggest one are the plagues. And these plagues are the mega groups where large number of breeding grounds they accumulate with each other, and now there are millions and billions of locusts. According to FAO, in 1 square kilometer, there could be 40 to 80 million of these locusts. And now they will become a danger to the agriculture and human beings because as their appetite has now increased, they are reproducing in large numbers. Now they are also taking the migratory flights and whatever will come into their way, they will eat the farms. And again, according to FAO, a swarm of size of Paris can eat the crops equivalent to the population size of half of France. So therefore, they now become the destructionists. Now, usually there are four type of major locust. They are the Moroccan locust, Italian locust, Asian migratory locust. But these varieties of locust are limited to the northern Afghanistan and southern Russia. So therefore, right now they are not the matter of our discussion. However, one particular variety of locust, that is desert locust, will be discussing today. Now coming to the desert locust, they prefer the moist soil into the arid and semi-arid regions, and naturally they are found into the east of Africa in countries such as Ethiopia, Somalia, Kenya, particularly the Horn of African countries. Along with it, they are also found into the Arabian Peninsula in countries such as Oman. Now we will discuss as how climate change and Indian Ocean Dipole might be having a connection with the locust attacks this year. Now, Indian Ocean Dipole is a major driver of rainfall patterns into the region. Now, di means two, and the pole means something which is opposite. So, opposite means there is an anomaly of water temperature into the ocean. If there will be warm water towards one side, then there will be the cooler waters onto the other side. So, there could be a positive Indian Ocean Dipole and a negative Indian Ocean Dipole. In positive Indian Ocean dipole, there is warm water into the western side of Indian Ocean and the cold water onto the eastern side of ocean, particularly below the Indonesia. Whereas into the negative phase, the opposite happens. And in between, there could also be the neutral IOD when the water differences are not extreme and the hot water is scattered throughout the Indian Ocean. Now there are two things. First of all, there is far more land onto the western side of Indian Ocean, due to which it heats up more and the water temperature is relatively higher onto the western side. But in some particular years, tropical easterlies also become more powerful and they pushes the warmer water towards the western fringes. And into the mean course of time, the warm water piles up onto the western side, whereas onto the eastern side there is upwelling of cold water and there happens to be a deposition of cold water. Now in this particular circumstances, the western side acts as a low pressure zone and the winds start to flow from the high pressure into the east towards the low pressure into the west. And now, as it is the area of low pressure zone, there is intense evaporation and stronger rain comes into this particular region. And now, as climate change is heating the seas even more, the intensification of low pressure becomes even more and even more stronger rains come. Now, 2019 was an year of a positive Indian Ocean dipole, and into this particular region, there was intense rains. Now, here there are some desert patches into the region of Somalia, Ethiopia, and some of the regions of Sudan. And due to this particular rain, the larvae of locust they sprouted immensely and large populations were made. And as there were large population, the solitary behavior of the locust turned to be gregarious, and now they formed the huge swarms into this particular region. And now one more thing, as they placed their eggs into the desert region, into the initial days when they were breeding, their population was unchecked because these areas did not have habitations. Now, friends, the army or the swarms are ready. And in 2019, there was also the intensification of the western disturbances, probably due to the polar vortex. And now, under the influence of western disturbance, they came to the Oman, Yemen, then Iran, then they reached to Pakistan, and finally now they are coming to the India. And then thirdly, what happened, there was no active spraying of insecticides into this region due to the lockdown which has been imposed into the recent times. So therefore there was no control on their swarming and on their migration. And now they have reached to Rajasthan, regions of Gujarat, and have even reached to the Madhya Pradesh. Now, friends, understand it in this way. First of all, they have arrived early. Usually, they come towards the June or July. Secondly, they have come in much larger numbers this year because of the reasons we have discussed. And thirdly, India also have received good pre-monsoon showers, and now they have got the favorable conditions in Rajasthan. That is the condition of moist sandy soil, so they are becoming a even bigger problem. And now we reach to the point number 3, as why they are needed to be controlled before the monsoon. Now there are two things in this particular regard. Number one, as I told you, that they prefer the moist sandy soil to lay their eggs, and once the monsoon will arrive, they will find fertile breeding grounds towards the Rajasthan pocket, and there they will lay the eggs, and then there will be the second wave of locust attacks. According to ICMR, into the present attack, they have invaded 40 to 42,000 hectares of land, but the rabi crop was majorly already harvested, so there was not major losses for the agricultural crops. However, after the monsoon have arrived, there will be the sowing of the kharif crops, and if then they will attack, then there the losses will be immense. Moreover, then there is one more reason. As the monsoon when it will begin, then directly from the Horn of Africa, these locusts will directly come to the India because of the favorable winds also. So just before the monsoons, we need to control them in order to contain the losses. And now we come to the final vertical, that is what could be the way forward. So first of all, Locust Warning Organization, which is headquartered in Faridabad, is the nodal agency to control the attack of locust. And this particular organization is attached to the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. Now, the classic strategy to control the locust is by spraying them with an insecticide Malathion, which belongs to the group of organophosphates. And in this particular respect, India has also shown the eagerness that India can supply the Malathion to the Pakistan as well as Afghanistan and Iran. And guys, here a kind of a diplomatic angle is coming with the Malathion, that by using the excuse of Malathion, even the relations between India and Pakistan could be brought to a normal trajectory, because both the countries equally dependent onto the agriculture, and for both the locust is a kind of a nightmare. So this particular thing could be utilized. However, moving forward, Malathion have various disadvantages also. Usually, Malathion 96 is used, which has a 96% concentration and is harmful for other creatures, animals, as well as for the plant diversity. Therefore, various activists has also opposed the application of Malathion. So what could be the alternative here? Because this you need to know for your UPSC. So guys, I will tell you a very good point here. There is a particular biopesticide which is called as green mussel. And this green mussel pesticide is extracted from the spores of a particular fungus, that is Metarhizium. And this particular biopesticide it came out of a LUBILOSA program, and this particular pesticide works on the weakening of the locust, and in mean course of time the entire swarm can die. And here the mortality of more than 80% has been observed. And one particular thing is that the green mussel doesn't kill any other creature, it only kills the locust and doesn't have the harmful impact onto the plant diversity also. And for this particular thing, FAO is also providing the funding. So India can approach FAO for the procuring of the green mussel, and it could be a strategy. Then after that, we should also focus on to the natural predators of the locust, and their natural predators are wasps, birds and reptiles. So if healthy ecosystem is made for these creatures, then into the long term also the sustainable fight could be given to the locust. So after that, coming to the fourth point. Now guys, the strength of the locust lies into their swarms, and if anyhow we can break the size of their swarm, then the locust will become disorientated and they will not be able to sustain. And in order to break the swarms, what could be done? We can operate the low flying airplanes, which will cause a atmospheric disturbance in terms of sound and vibration, and the coordination will break and they get disoriented. Further, apart from this, the best strategy to control the locust is controlling them at their breeding point. So in this particular direction, a cross-country coordination with the Eastern African countries, Iran, Afghanistan and Pakistan is needed. And in this particular direction, Eco-Agro agreements could be signed, which will pave for the control of locust, as well as cordial relations will also be made. Moreover guys, on the lines of SARC fund, we can also create a dedicated fund to meet the locust, so that collectively Malathion, green mussel and all these kind of equipments could be procured. So friends, these are the unique points apart from the Malathion. Please try to use them, because everybody will be going only for the Malathion and insecticide related things. So this was all about the locust related issue. I hope you have liked the discussion. Thank you so much.